So the main goal is to show ads that correspond to where they're at in their buying stages so we can convert them more effectively.
It's right message to the right people at the right time. And just because I come to my site does not mean that they're to buy, right? I've got to work them through that sales pipeline. That's all this is.
So in Google Analytics, we measure what people are doing. We're measuring purchases, email signups, stuff like that. But Mercer here is also measuring behavior and grading like whole funnels of this stuff. So explain to me how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you think about an online world, right, and how marketers measure online and how they send out all their messages, and then you look at the offline world, it's sometimes and very often completely different expectations and behaviors of what the marketers are running after. So for example, you go out to buy shoes, you're going to walk into a shoe store, salesperson's going to ask you like, hey, what are you looking for? And it's like, oh, you know, I'm just kind of browsing around. They might say something like, oh, there's sneakers down there, but they don't just try to force you to buy these shoes. Like, oh, here, take these, 20% off, 50% off, right? But online marketers do that all the time. And that's because they're racing toward this completion goal, right?
So they're sending me messages that are actually not resonating with me.
You come up to a shoe store online. What do you see the next time you go to MSN or CNN? You see just a whole bunch of shoes like, oh, look at these, look at these, look at these, right? And that may not have necessarily been why you were there, right? Could have been checking out shoe sizes or insoles or whatever else. So what you can do is as a marketer, especially with tools like Tag Manager that are out there now, it makes it incredibly easy to do things like this, is you can measure the behaviors that actually lead to those actions. So it's almost like
indicators.
Exactly right, leading indicators. Yeah, so like in our case, we've got our sort of funnel, our behavioral funnel would be people that are exposed to the brand, right? So just the instant the page loads.
How do you define exposed to the brand?
Instant the page loads. You click on the ad, whatever bringing them to the site, the page loads, kind of when the page view tags are firing or something like that, that's exposure. Doesn't mean they're in the right spot, right? Doesn't mean they even know they're in the right spot yet, but at least the page loaded. So that's exposure. Then there's awareness, where maybe they spend some time on the page. Now I'm not talking about minutes, just a few seconds, but they haven't gone, oh, I'm in the wrong spot and I back out. Because those people, you don't really, they're probably not your market.
So people who did not bounce, maybe read a word or
who didn't bounce quickly. Because there's a lot of times they'll come to the page and be like, oh, this is what I thought it was, and they leave. Well, you don't want to put them in your lookalike audiences. You don't want to go tell Facebook to follow them around, right? It's sort of a waste of money. And so you have that awareness of maybe they spent 10 or 15 seconds. That's a long time in internet, right? You spend 10 seconds on a page, you're probably going, okay, I want to continue this conversation, or at least I know that I'm in the right spot. You know, so you're aware at that point. And again, Tag Manager makes that really easy for people to do. So, and meanwhile, what's happening is we're sending all these pixels back to Facebook or Google Ads saying, you know, hey, they've just hit this stage, right? With analytics, with events, you know, here's this stage now, that this aware stage. Then there's engagement. You have to engage with the message. So whatever that message is for that particular
company. So it could be like read a product description,
clicked on a link, interacting with, so if it's an e-commerce site, interacting with photos. That's a completely different buyer than somebody who comes to the page and leaves. Completely different messages. Somebody who really clicked around, virtually picked that product up and turned it around and tried to see if it was going to fit them is a different person.
So as soon as they do that, you fire an event to analytics.
Right. Exactly.
And so now you have the typical conversion funnel, but also you're measuring what came before, as in steps.
Exactly right.
Kind of linear way.
The behaviors that are leading to that, because everything is a sale, right? And everybody thinks sale, they think credit card, but it's not just that. It's incredibly rare that that happens. You have to have all these individual sales, including that one, and they're equally as important. If I'm not aware, I can't buy. Right?
When you're measuring those steps, now what do we do with this information? How do we use this?
So all of these different steps, as you move through the stages, you fire them into analytics so the analytics can tell to Google Ads. You fire them into Facebook so that Facebook knows who these are. You're building custom audiences on each side. And the way that we look at it is the ads are like this team of salespeople that you can now say, okay, ads, your job is to go find people who are currently tagged as aware but did not engage with my content. Now I'm going to create ads whose sole mission in life is to get them to come back to my site and engage with content. And that's it. And then once they engage, they will trigger engagement. They get moved into the, okay, now become a lead. All the ads now switch. And it's like kind of the engagement ads go sit down on the bench. The new ads come out that were sitting on the bench. Their job is to get people to become a lead now because they're engaged.
So the main goal is to show ads that correspond to where they're at in their buying stages, and so we can convert them more effectively.
It's right message to the right people at the right time, right? That's all this is. It's right message to the right people at the right time. And just because I come to my site does not mean that they're to buy. I have to convince them to go through the pipeline, right? I've got to work them through that sales pipeline. And again, tools like Tag Manager can help you to measure. It's not perfect. I mean, you're not in the head, right? But you can measure by behavior And again, somebody that's interacting with pictures and everything on a e-commerce site is very different than somebody who clicks through the product page and then clicks to the next product page. I wouldn't want to show them product A. They didn't care. But if they interact with product B, but they didn't buy it, but they interact a lot with that page, they're checking out stuff, they're looking to see sizes, you can measure all those different behaviors, completely different ad set that they would get. Now remember, if they buy, they never see those ads. They don't know that was happening. Those ads are all there just in case when they leave, I go, you know what, they fell out at this stage of that pipeline. Now I'm gonna bring them back in at this stage because that's who they are.
If you want more interviews like this, subscribe to my channel.